People of YouTube, hello and welcome to the very last Federation. This is a game that came out on Steam about a week ago, and it's by Arkan Games. Hopefully I am pronouncing their name correctly. These are the guys behind AI War series and behind Bionic Dues, and also, what's that game called? The Valley Without the Wind? The Wind Without the Valley? I never played it, but I know that they make that as well. So anyhow, very interesting game, The Last Federation, and it's somewhat hard to define the genre of the game. Well, it's a strategy game, obviously, but I mean like sort of a more specifically what kind of strategy. I think they self-define it as a grand strategy, but it's not really that grand. It's an interesting mixture of things you can do in the game. So let's call it a version of grand strategy, something like that. So you know what, it's probably better to just start the game, and as that happens, I'll explain what's going on. You're playing as a Hydra or Hydral. I can tell you that much. Let's give it an advanced start here. Yes, Iron Man, why not? Permadeath, skip tutorials, no observer mode. So normal startup thing, you know, you have your difficulty levels of the combat and the strategic difficulty, like it often happens in strategy games. You got your starting gear, so the further you start, the more advanced the races are going to be, so tech level basically. And then you can choose the ship you're going to have by choosing whose planet you're crashing on. There's 8 races in the game. I'm going to show them to you in a second. And depending on whose planet you crash on, it will determine who will hate you from the outset, and also what kind of ship you get. So I'm just gonna go with the default guys because I have a saved game with this, where I crashed on the same planet, so it's gonna be easier. So I'm gonna show you the very beginning of the game and how it starts, and while I talk about the mechanics, and also show you kind of the more advanced stage as we are about to form a federation. I haven't actually beaten the game, I haven't finished it, so please keep that in mind. Whatever opinions I have about the game and whatever I have to report back to you, it's based on about 8 hours of gameplay, and I can't even say that the game it is beatable because I haven't done it. So maybe, you know, it probably is. I'm just saying do not have that information. So please do not judge, you know, judge on while judging this review and the game. Keep that in mind. That's basically what I'm trying to say. Right, let's go and do this. I think the story will be presented if I press OK now. Whoa. Yeah, I understand. I'm gonna just do a little thing and then we're done. So it's all good. Okay, so if you go to the page of the game, the store page on Steam, it actually has a video where this is narrated. But since it's not in the game for some reason, but it's a separate video, which is somewhat strange, I am going to be telling you the story instead of just reading it out. So you are the last Hydral left. There used to be 9 races in this fictional solar system that we're in, and the Hydrals were the first one to reach the space. They became the spacefaring race, first spacefaring race in the solar system. So when they did that, they decided to keep everyone else away from space. And every time someone launched a manned mission, they would shoot it down. They let them keep their satellites for some reason, which is kind of unclear in the game, like the unmanned satellites, the spy satellites. And for some reason they were cool with that, but they didn't let them keep their mission. So you, the last Hydral, are the sole survivor, I think. This will give another image here. And for some reason, so this guy decided that, okay, so we messed up majorly, and our policies led to the extinction of my race. So I don't want this to happen again. So I want to form the Federation, which is somewhat arbitrary. So his goal is to unite every race in the solar system that is alive at that point in a federation. And when you do that, you win the game. For example, if you unite like 7 out of 8, and the 8th one is kind of just saying like, no, fuck you guys, I'm not going to be with you, then that's not going to work out. So you have to have all of them, and you can just kill the number 8. But it has to be either dead or in the Federation. So that's the goal of the game. I think I should show what happened as well. Yeah, so he crashed into one of the planets, and as you saw, we chose which one we're crashing on, and that planet becomes spacefaring, but on its own, basically, because they take the tech away from you, but they don't understand how powerful you are, so you're just basically sitting there for a couple of years, as it said here, and waiting for them to build a flagship, and then you steal that flagship, and that was the choice we were making, so we get their flagship, and depending on which planet you choose in the beginning of the game to crash on, you get a different flagship, etc. So, let's go to next image here, and these are our the race we crashed on, and so because we kind of betrayed them, sort of, even though we were their captives, and also they were the guys who, the two races destroyed our planet, and one of them was them, and so this is a lot of hatred now, especially after we stole their flagship, and killed some guys, etc. So, the Evox, the Akutans finished us off, and the Evox developed a disease that wiped out like 90% of population, and then these guys came in and just killed everyone else. So yeah, and then now you are basically just on your own, kind of. You're basically like a political figure in the game. I think the game describes you as a mercenary, but you're not really a mercenary. Well, you kind of, I mean, you can like hire yourself out to people and work with them, but because your overall goal is ideological, then I think you would be better described as a politician. So I think this is the phase we just get away from our pursuer. This is we just broke loose, and we are trying to get away. So there's two stages two levels of gameplay. One is the combat phase, and one is the sort of strategy phase. The combat phase is what you see in front of you, and it's turn-based. So, and the two stages within the turn-based. The first stage you set out the movement. Second stage set out the weapon and who is that weapon firing on. Because here we only have one enemy at this point, so there's no point targeting them. I'm just going to leave it on auto fire, so whatever's going to come close is going to be fired on. The enemy over here has shields, and if you point your cursor on it, then you will see that, I can't really point it at it, but on the text in the lower left corner it says the first energy, the most powerful weapon is going to be the energy blaster. So we choose the energy blaster and move towards the enemy. Basically, at this point there isn't much else you need to do. They are deploying some fighters to deal with you, and you are kind of starting to shoot them. You also have special abilities, just like they deploy things, we can also deploy things. I'm not sure what the special abilities are in this case, because this is a different playthrough. Shortwave virus, yeah, so whenever you deploy special ability, besides just using that ability, there's an energy burst that destroys all the projectiles coming towards your ship. So it's kind of the double use, it has a double use. And also, Mercenary Hotline, I don't like Mercenary Hotline. Just brings in mercenaries who are attacking everyone. Immediately pushes the shield health to your flagship to 100%. Okay, cool. And Cloaking Field. Okay, so we're not going to be using the abilities just now. So I'm just going to show you the combat. You can see, so we are shooting at them. At the end of the turn, it will tell you that you took 6,959 damage to shields, and they took 252,000 to the shields. And their shields are, you can then, if you point at them again, you'll see that they're like halfway down. So let's just use one special ability, for example. So let's do the shortwave virus. So we press that. See, there's energy field, and all the projectiles that were near us are destroyed. But we didn't shoot or move in a specific direction, we just kind of drifted past it in the same direction we're going to. So I'm just going to come back here, target this ship now specifically, and as soon as the shields are down, which should happen any moment, okay, then we can switch to the next weapon, and it will tell us that it's the gravity lance. So we're going to switch to we'll keep moving towards them, switch to gravity lance, target the ship. And now we're attacking them with the gravity lance because that's the most effective damage per attack, I guess, weapon. And there's a second ship that we need to kill. We could also just dock with this station and avoid combat, but I'm just going to show you the combat because, you know, this is a video about, you know, how the game works. So let's see how this works. Yeah, this guy should hit us with a rocket there. Should go down soon. Then we can pick up their people in the escape pods, and we can use them later for bargaining. Let's switch to, what is the best weapon against this guy? Gravity lance. Yeah, whatever, let's have a gravity lance. We can either return them, free of charge, or we could sell them back so we get the credit. Well, I'll explain the credit system in a second. So this could be a slightly long video because there's a lot of things to cover here. So now we are gonna dash forward toward this guy. Actually, let me introduce another system in the game, which is the power distribution. So I'm gonna take the power away from the shields and from the weapons, weapons, and put it in the engine so that I can go further and catch up with this guy, because he's quite a fast mover. There we go. I think we should be okay. We can switch back to attacking him directly. And he should go down pretty soon. Our shields are kind of going down, but because his concussive shells are pretty good against our shields. But I think we'll kill him before he will manage to take us out. We can also now slightly decrease the power level of the engines and switch that to our weapons. So it's going to be easier to shoot them down. And they're dead, and we got away. And at the end of every combat, obviously, you get the report. He tells you the most important stuff is in color. So you got the credits. I'll explain what that is in a second. For destroying ships, who lost who and how much damage was taken. Got -2 influence with Acutans or Acutians because I attacked their ships, but even though they attacked me actually, technically. And that we rescued the pilots, which we can use in future political discourse. So, it's also rearranged slightly. The game I'm going to show you later, the thing I'm going to load is a bit different. Everything is here unlocked. Now you can see here, these are the planets. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 was us. This is our destroyed planet. In order to travel anywhere, you can just click there and you'll get there. Our destroyed planet, I think, is just gonna have sad music and nothing's happening there really. And it's in possession of the Acutans or Acutians. At this point in the game, when you start, only the planet we crash landed on is spacefaring. Everyone else, and that's why they have more information here, is not spacefaring. Now, what you can do, you can help them become spacefaring. As such, they will be grateful to you and you'll gain influence with them. The resources that are in the game, there's credits, which is kind of like money, but it's also like social money. So with 6 out of the 8 races, you can use credits to make them do stuff, or you can earn credits from helping them. So imagine that's kind of like street cred is credits. Influence is what they think of you. And there are some specific currencies with certain races, which I will show you slightly later, because of the way their society is constructed. And the races are here. Right now there's a relationship between only us, because only these guys have gone to space and kind of know what's up. The other ones are stuck on their planets at this point. But we can help them get to space. Now if we don't help them, they'll get to space on their own. For example, these guys, the Thoraxians, will get to space in 13 seconds without our helps. So if I were, for example, to unpause the game, and as this counts down, we should get a message that says, Thoraxians are now spacefaring. I think the computer voice is supposed to say that. 1, 2, 1, ta-da! Right, so she doesn't think they're very nice, and they're not very nice. They are, they're hive mind race. So I can show you those two because they're already spacefaring. So if we go over here, for example, this is the guys that hate us now. There you see, our influence is -102, -15 here. They all start with a negative influence towards us because, well, we start with having negative influence towards them because the Hydrals were dicks to them in the past, because we were keeping everyone grounded, and so obviously, you know, the races don't really like that. We're not really helping anyone. But now the Lost Hydral has changed his ways, etc. So when you're on a planet, where you're near a planet, you can do several things. You can get the planet details, all the stuff here. I'm not going to go through them. A lot of the stuff I feel, and this is kind of one of the criticisms of the game, is somewhat irrelevant, because you don't really need it to achieve things. Again, this is based on the amount of time I spent in the game, so please treat this review as a sort of first impression review. even though it's it's a lot more than usual for amount of first impression amount of hours spent in the game. But that was my impression so far. Like there's different resources, etc., and you do need them, but like if you don't have them, you just immediately know how to get them. So there is no long-term planning involved in kind of looking at this planetary information, etc. So it's a bit weird. Then you can do friendly acts. Okay, this is just gonna explain who they are. I'll explain it myself. We can't really do very many friendly acts because they're not very friendly with us, and most of them will gain you credits. This is kind of what their world looks like. They're very sort of corporate. They're capitalist robots, basically. So they're all about acquisition and money, and their society is ruled by CEOs of the biggest industries. Then you can do hostile acts. This is I saw a disabled tutorial. It's very strange that it's still appearing. Tutorial, by the way, in the game is quite good. It's one of the best tutorials I've experienced. It's one of the major pluses of the game. It was kind of like actually fun going through the tutorial, and it's not like a tutorial like, oh, you're done now, you'll play. But your first campaign is essentially a tutorial campaign, and throughout the campaign it reveals more and more things about the game, and it's done quite gently, it's nicely, and it's a pleasure. So we can't really do any of this stuff, but this is the hostile acts, and I'll do some hostile acts in a later game. And then there's the Akutan CEO. So everyone has their own government. So if I were to come back to the Thoraxians, you can see that instead of Akutan CEOs or Thoraxian CEOs, it says Thoraxian Queen. So this is the Queen in the background. You can't really see her. And there's things you can do with the Queen. There's a little description of how the Queen works, how their government works, their attitude towards other races, what is happening with the Queen. For example, the local Queen's overall mood is currently brooding, and you can kind of influence her mood by giving her bribes. Bribing is huge in this universe, but it's kind of hard to deal with Thoraxians in general because they kind of have everything they need. They're into basically breeding and spreading. They're kind of insects, so isn't that much you can do for them. It's kind of tricky race to deal with. So I think in my original playthrough I was just trying to get rid of them. And the next potential mood swings. So she gets mood swings because of hormonal changes. And it's in a while, whatever that means. So it's not very accurate information. I think if I were to plant a informant, no, I can't plant an informant on their race because they're hive mind, so they have no crime, obviously. So they have no crime, and Endors have no crime, who are somewhere over there, right? So that's how that works. You can obviously do more Seriously, I just went through this. More interaction with these guys because they are not high-minded guys, people, whatever, species. So you can actually talk about scientific research, services, transportation. I can't do it now again because they're mad at me. But let's get someone who will not be mad at me. And for example, go and deliver spacefaring tech to Scalaxians, who I kind of like. I think they're kind of cool. They're probably closest to humans. So when a nation is not spacefaring, then your initial friendly act is there's only one option, which is give them spacefaring tech. Now, as soon as you do that, the Akutans are gonna hate you because they're kind of like Hydrals when they were alive. They don't want anyone to get this tech. In general, everyone is gonna be opposed to you disseminating the spacefaring technology, but to a different degree, depending on their stance, their general attitude, and their morality. Thoraxians don't really care, for example, so you can more than -5 influence, but you'll gain +50 influence with Scalaxians, and your influence is now neutral, and it's going to be they will like you as a result, and you'll gain a lot of street credit, as you can see here. So in order to take the action, which we're going to do, we have to fight. So you'll have to fight through the Thoraxians and through the Akutans to get to this point. Now, this is not going to be very hard to do, because I'm going to explain about this, or maybe not. I mean, if you can experience this stuff, the units in the game, the combat in general is not hard, let's put it that way. If you figure it out, and you're done, more or less. So what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna basically disable the weapons. I'm not gonna be using any weapons really, and instead I'm gonna cloak. I think I have a cloaking field. By cloaking field, is that me or is everyone, right? I hope so. If not, I may not be able to pass through there. Alright, start moving. Okay, they're shooting us. Hopefully we'll still be... Actually, let's just keep going for now. Okay, not too bad, not too bad. If I just make it here, to this point, then I can just deliver the tech. It gets gradually more and more difficult as more and more races have the tech, because more and more races are going to be opposing you in terms of getting it. Those flashing things are by the spy satellites. If you go near them, they'll just spawn a ton of ships. But I think we don't even need to use the cloaking, we can just go there. And it was delivered.
The Skylaxians are now spacefaring.
There we go.
They are an advanced species and disapprove of your race's past actions. However, they may just be the key to forming a federation, as their powers of persuasion over the other races are non-trivial.
So they're pretty good at convincing others to join the Federation. So it's nice to have them as an ally, and they're kind of easy to have an ally. Not really, because whenever you do terrorist acts, they'll be upset with you. When you steal something, they're upset with you. Whenever you show extreme violence, they'll be upset with you. Even though they're not necessarily so holy themselves, but that's what I'm saying. They're kind of like humans, even though they don't look like humans. They look like the aliens, you know. So you can see that now that I gave them the tech, the whole thing changed. I'm going to briefly go through over the stuff that's here. So this is their power over on the top. I'm not going to go into very detail. That your influence, how fitted they are to their planet, their population, which is 132 million, and the stuff that is trending or happening on the planet. So local developments, I guess. So this is public order, which is a 10, which is mediocre. Environment is a 2, mediocre. Medical is a 0, mediocre, and then the economic is trending down as 30, and it's awful. So you can, for example, try and help them to improve that. Let's give a, for example, I think not from here, but if we go to the political stuff, this is them. So very kind of alien-looking aliens. If you go to local Stella Lyra deals, I think, let's see, so economics, huge tax breaks. Positive economic trend will start on Stella. Now it is trending down. So if we do that, and they will gain 50 economic, but your environment is going to be messed up. But whatever. Let's just to introduce you to this idea of doing political deals. So you basically, because they kind of like you now, you have influence with them, so you can afford to do this. So execute the deal, and you get start a positive economic trend. The economy goes from awful to mediocre, but the environment goes to awful. So there's that. And then you can try and improve that, but you can see that it's already changed here. Now the economy is going to be booming. Well, and only one thing can be changing, up or down. So you cannot have, for example, economy booming and environment trending down. This just doesn't work that way. On the right hand side, you get all the information you need. There's special missions that we can do. Like, for example, the Burlest want to get out into space as well. And what the hell, these guys? Evox want terraforming stuff, and they'll be then kind of on your side. Evox are a kind of bastards, so I don't really want to help them, Evox. I don't want to help you, Evox. So we're not going to do that now. This is this is basically the way game starts. I'm going to load another file, another stage in the game, which is different. It's going to be a different kind of alignment of the planets. Oh, there's also, forgot to mention, there's black market, where you can acquire different things. For example, here, you can buy hydro technologies, which are quite expensive. I can only afford this one. It's some mysterious tech. It's gonna help me improve basically my ship. You can get bribe items. As I mentioned, you can bribe different races, and I'm gonna go over the races in a second when I load that part where everyone is kind of spacefaring already. You can sell prisoners as slaves. You can see that the Skylaxians are not gonna be happy about that. You're gonna lose 1 influence per the prisoner you sell, though you will gain 500 credits. So hey, whatever you prefer, right? So let's see. I mean, we have only one type of prisoners, so they're Acutian or Acutan, and we can sell 6 of them. We could gain 3,000 credit. We will lose 6 influence with them. So that's just up to us. And then we can hire construction workers to help when we're helping races to construct things. We can hire scientists when we're researching things with them. And this is another kind of problem I have with the game, with the research, and I'll go over that in a second. And we can hire security for the stuff that we own, and I'm going to show you that in a second as well. So this is the stuff you do. You can also sell raw resources that you get, which is it's kind of not very important part of the game, in my opinion. But hey, whatever. It's there. But again, I'll talk about all that stuff after I load a different game, and I'll show you more of the mechanics of the Last Federation. Okay, so welcome to 6 years into the game. Not that much, really. I mean, this is still kind of the beginning stage, but you can see here everyone is spacefaring. Some of them through my help, some of them did that on their own. And there's a lot of, not a lot of, but some new items in the game that you haven't seen in the previous screen, so I'm going to go over them. So the races can build things in space. They can build space stations or manufacturing outposts. These are all built by Ekitans, but I took them over. So they're mine now, and I can use them either to help me research, or I can hire them out, outsource them to different races, thus gaining influence with them. These are owned by other races, for example, the Andors. So let's quickly, because now everyone is in space, everyone kind of is traveling around, let's quickly go over the race relations. So just in the interface here, your logbook basically tells you what you've been doing. Quite straightforward and self-explanatory. The computer advisor tells you, for example, the top 3 suggested allies, the biggest powers, and stuff that you're missing, for example, in terms of research. Federation progress is kind of 0 at this point because I haven't formed it, but I'm about to form it. And I'll tell you about that. Racial power grid is just how much population, for example, people have. You can see the Thoraxians, or Burlists, are booming, right? They have almost 2 billion, and they're a huge menace right now in the solar system, so it's not great. So far, it's not great. Their space power is low, but the ground power is insane. So defeating them isn't easy. Ideally, probably in the future, I would have to somehow convince them to be on my side and join the Federation. And race relations is quite interesting. You know, I'm sure you've seen this in other games. Now here, you can see the relation of everyone. If I just hover over my icon, that's me. You can see the relation to me. You can see that these guys detest me. These guys are, I guess, neutral-ish, kind of negative slightly. And you can see who's at war with who. So these guys are at war with Thoraxians. These guys are at war with Andor and Scalaxians, who are kind of my allies-ish, or they're going to become my allies. While, for example, so this guy can have a good relationship with me. And this guy had a good relationship with me, but they can be still at war with each other, which kind of makes sense. Yeah, I really messed up Ewoks as well. I destroyed a lot of their ships, so they're not very happy with me. But you can see here, what you can see here is that Scalaxians really like Andor, and Andor really likes Scalaxians. They don't have to necessarily be that way. For example, the Borean respect Scalaxians. Scalaxians are neutral towards them, so it can be one-sided. The reason they're neutral, they respect them, is because I convinced Scalaxians to give them a lot of technology, because I wanted the Boreans to be my allies as well at some point in the future. So what I'm going to do here, because these guys are allied towards each other, well, not allied, but they really like each other, they have a venerated attitude towards each other. So I'm going to go to Scalaxians, who are over here. Oh, actually, I'm already on their planet. I'm going to go Scalaxian Senate. I'm going to go to Federation Deals. And I'm going to create a federation with another race. They can create it with one other race. And you can see here that only possibility is the Andor. Reason for this being that Andor like them, and the Scalaxian like Andor. So we're going to execute the deal. This is going to cost me measly 1400 credit. And the federation is formed. And I gain influence with 2 of them because they are the founding nations or founding races of the federation. The federation now is a thing. So if we go to the federation menu, you can see that Andor are in Federation, and Scalaxian in Federation. But you can also notice here that Peltons could also vote to be part of the Federation. So why not? Quickly, actually, before we go there, I'm going to tell you about the races. So I told you about Scalaxians already, and the Ekitans, and the Thorax here, Thoraxians. So Burlists are, let's travel to Burlists, are sort of like warrior race, and they don't accept credit. They don't understand it. They have leverage, which you gain by either bribing them or dueling with them and killing them. So if you kill one of the leaders, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, this guy's kind of cool. So hey, yeah, if you want to influence me, that you can do that." But it's kind of hard to get them into a federation. The only reason they would get there is, I think, if they think the federation is strong. So. If I get at least 50, I could try to get them into Federation. Alright, cool. Maybe I just missed that. So, those are the Burlists. They're a huge force. Like, they're hard to defeat. Then we have the Evox, who messed up our planet. They're very sort of secretive and spying people. Here they are, and I also kind of don't like them, so I was kind of messing them up. Then we have the Peltons, who are super peaceful and very amicable and get scared a lot. So, for example, if you do something atrocious, most races will be like, "Whoa, whoa, what a dick! Why are you doing this?" While Burlesque will be like, "Yeah, he's a dick. I like him." And while these guys will be like, "I like you because I'm afraid of you." So that's this guys, and they don't accept crate either. They have their own thing, which is the voting proxies, and I have them the voting proxies because I helped them in the past. So instead of bribing the Spoxpeltian, they also, their government is actually, they called the communes, I think. Collectives, yeah. So they have a weird government system there of their own. So I'm gonna go to Federation deals, and I'm gonna vote or incite a vote to join the existing federation. Because I have the voting proxies, I basically, again, I have like their own specific street cred. I'm just gonna do that and execute a deal, and they're part of the federation. And even though I expended some voting proxies, I got some in return, because every time you gain influence with them, it comes with the voting proxies. So, got 3 nations in front of your eyes into the Federation. Now, if you go to Federation Progress, you can see 1, 2, 3, and they technically become my allies. So we are all together. Whether or not we're gonna be helping each other a lot, it's a completely different case or a completely different scenario. But that's the idea. So to continue with the races, the Andor are living in Utopia. So they're kind of cool, but I don't really trust them. Just a robotic race, and they have a ruling party, and you can influence which ruling party is in power, etc. All the politics are quite interesting. I'm not sure how much of an influence they have over, for the overall game, because I've never, for example, I formed this federation now with 3 races, and obviously this is not the end of the game, because there's tons of other races that are not part of the Federation, right? There's 5 more who are not part of the Federation, so I still have to kind of either kill them or make them join. So maybe this will become important at some point, but so far I got to this stage without even trying to influence anyone's government. You can also kind of try and assassinate them. If you go, for example, to the hostile acts, I think I won't be able to do very much hostile acts here, because I do not have a... they don't have crime either, because they live in a utopia. But I can do hostile acts here, so I can do I can hire bioterrorists, I can hire saboteurs, I can plant false evidence. This is pretty good actually, because if you want someone to go to war with someone else, you just plant false evidence, and there's a small chance it will fail and everyone's gonna hate you. But most of the time, 80% chance to succeed, so it's a pretty good way to do it. Or you can damage the relations with other races, just spend time here and spreading rumors and damaging stuff, damaging their relations, so that's how I also influence. Now, we mentioned Taraxians, they are sort of a hive mind people. You can see also here that people are firing at each other, so there's a bit of a war going on. I'm not sure who's attacking who, to be honest. We can figure that out in a second, and I think I went through all of them. Yeah, Evox, Andors. Oh, I think we haven't been to the Burlesques homeworld, and they are, so not the Burlesques, they're the Borine. So Borine are sort of individualistic race. They are, there's less of them. They're quite militaristic, but not necessarily aggressive, but only when they have to. They're not necessarily trying to spread everywhere and kill everything else like the Burlesques. So they're quadrupeds, and they're into territorial stuff, but they don't really, not very expansive. So they're kind of nice. I quite like them. There's a lot of infighting with them as well, and the only way to get them into the Federation is to make the Regent, which is their female leader of the planet, worry about the solar unity. And the only way she will worry about the solar unity is if you solve their local problems. So that's how you get these guys in. So I would imagine that would take some time and some doing. So that's the idea. We got 3 people in the Federation, and this is not over, obviously, as I said. So after that, some anti-Federation alliance is supposed to happen, which haven't happened yet, but I'm assuming they will, as the game promised. And without defeating them, obviously, the Federation may fall apart, because they will be actively fighting you on every step. Let's also quickly take a look at some of the graphs that are in the game and some of the additional options. So you have the inventory, which is mostly the raw materials you own and plus the bribe items you own. Yeah, and there's a way to get them. It's quite easy to get them. You can customize your flagship. You can have a different amount of operations you can unleash, but basically interceptors, special ability, and special offensive ability, special defensive ability, and 3 weapons. It will change depending on whose planet you crashed on and whose ships you have. Then this is kind of toggling the map options, but you can take a look at the Armada graphs. So this is a total power by race. So if you go, so you can see the Aquitans are kind of getting powerful, but they were not doing so well before. It's mostly because I was destroying all their armadas before, and then I just kind of left them alone. Endor, since they became spacefaring, been growing in power. So Deborah and Burles is kind of struggling in terms of space power, but I think the ground troops, I can't see the ground troops here, I'll show you that their ground troops are doing probably quite well. Scalaxians are under attack right now from Splinter organization or something. Basically some rogue elements are attacking them. I have a save where I actually I help them out, and then that's not a problem anymore. And Thoraxians are not doing so well in terms of space power either. But if you go to, I think is it population graphs? So you can see how the population has been growing, and as I said, Burles are pretty much a menace to the entire solar system because their population is just booming, and it's going to be they're going to be a problem unless they decide to join the alliance, which is not going to be easy. Ground troop power, for example, in terms of the Burles, I think they dropped down because someone actually bombarded them. Someone went to war with them, and so their population levels and probably troop levels kind of dropped down, but they're growing back up again. And some of them have basically nothing to speak of, like Scalaxian ground troops are really non-existent. And AFA doesn't exist yet. This is the Anti-Federation Alliance. So, you know, obviously that's why it doesn't show. And the amount of spy probes, the Evox, I think here, strange that they don't appear, because usually they have the most probes. And the outposts, which are basically good for your economy or your military production, and you can see the Endors are very active in making them. I'm going to load another game now, probably. Is there anything I can show over here? Nah, it's just enabling stuff. We're just going to do a kind of a summary of return to combat one more time and do a summary of the features of the game and what I think. I kind of reiterate in some cases what I think is somewhat problematic and what I think is really good in the game. So this is pretty much the same stage where I just formed the Federation, but here I have a different configuration for my ship. So, and the reason I'm talking about the ship is because I wanted to underline kind of my problem with the combat. As I said, on normal difficulty, I mean, you can up the difficulty, obviously. It's not very hard, but the main problem is that it's kind of same. Like, whatever you do, let's just do a hostile act here and attack their local armadas on our own. It's always sort of same. And that's kind of not great. I mean, it's still enjoyable and it's still entertaining, but you will always see kind of ships, shields, satellites. They shoot at you, and yeah, many of the fights will feel like you've already done this, and you probably have. What makes it more varied is obviously your choices of the special abilities here. You have the Giga Cannon, which is quite good. It attacks the flagships directly. You have Zeros, who are interceptors who crash into the spaceships. Another type of interceptors, I have the Cloaking Field, as I think I demonstrated already, or maybe I just mentioned it. And then I have the Emergency Shield repairs, which just brings the shield up to 100% by sacrificing 5% of your hull. So let's take them down. I think we need to kill 3. This is just basically I'm attacking the Aquitans just because. So we're just gonna go with our Energy Blaster, and I think we're just gonna start firing at those satellites, while we could just also deploy our squadrons, who are going to hopefully, oh, this guy's attacking us, smash into the enemies. Right, and we can get another squadron to smash into the enemies. We can chase this guy down, for example, and switch to destroying him. So it's kind of like that. You single out an enemy, you start attacking them, they lose the shield, then they die. Then you can come over here, attack this guy. They haven't lost the shield yet, but they will soon. Oh, I need to probably reduce my maneuverability and increase the power of my guns. I should probably chosen a different one. He's almost dead anyway, but let's... What does he like? He likes Gyu Cannon. Let's use a Gyu Cannon, whatever. And the hits... Oh, that missed. Yeah, Gyu Cannon can miss, actually. Just get over here. Come on. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. There we go. And the last one, you kill the last one, and you win the mission, and you get credits. So, again, I'm not trying to say it's not fun at all. It's just kind of same-ish, and sometimes it feels like, oh, I wish I could just resolve this automatically. You know, like a lot of strategy games have like automatic combat resolution, which this game doesn't really. At least I didn't manage to find it. Oh shit, we're almost dead. that's fun. Alright, let's cloak and restore stuff. And also restore the shields. Alright, there we go. Okay, we need to kill this guy now. Gravity Lance, alright, cool. There you go, Gravity Lance. Come on. There we go, killed him. Almost died there. I was just saying that the combat was kind of same. You get your report, influence changes with the races, etc. So that's kind of my minor gripe with the game and its combat. Again, it's kind of fun. It would be more fun if it was more varied. You can see that a lot of stuff happening here. There's a lot of like these guys are quite powerful now in terms of their army. Their power, you can see, is at 37. They have 37 flagships, while I just destroyed, I think, a couple of them. So they only have 2. Because also they keep producing them. This is my security detail. I bought some goons to protect my stations. You can see here the war is going on. As these guys are fighting each other. I'm not sure who's fighting who, to be honest. I don't... No, I think the Ecutans are attacking the Thoraxians for whatever reason. So, hey, whatever. So as I mentioned before, I want to go over quickly some of the resources in the game. I think the general idea, the general concept is quite cool. The whole idea of having, you know, being this hydro-political guy who's trying to influence stuff and build this somewhat arbitrary federation, I think that's kind of cool. And on the concept level, it's great. And I like the races. I like the differences between them. I like how you need to choose different approaches to them, and there's different ways of forming the federation. For example, another cool thing is that you can just, if everyone dies and just one race remains and you form a federation with them, you convince them, okay, you will be the federation, that also works. So, or you can, for example, try and have good influence with everyone. There's a special achievement for that in the game, and try and include everyone in the federation, and that works too, and it's also great. So it's very nice that those things exist. It's very, on the concept, again, on the concept design level, it's pretty cool. Now, the problem I have, probably, which is kind of bigger than the sameness of the combat, is the kind of the meaningless of the statistics to a certain degree, because I could have gotten to this stage, and more or less did, to the stage where I'm in. And again, this is not game, you know, I haven't won the game yet, but I was ignoring I almost ignored completely the graphs and all the statistical detail, especially the planet details, like this stuff. It does play a role, but only if you want it to play a role. So, I mean, some people probably could say that's a good thing, but at the same time, I don't know. Like, if something is not functional, does it really have to be in a game? But again, that gets more of a philosophical question about game design, rather than a question of whether or not this is a good game, possibly. Another thing that I have a problem with is probably the tech developments. For example, let's see if I can get an example of that. If you go to tech tree, you can see, so this is us and all the other people, right? So you can see that some of the things, for example, we don't have, but the Borines do. So if I were to go, so let's say I want to get the Messen computers, right? So we go to Borines and go to Friendly Acts, Resource Technology, and Messen computers. So, and if you read here, we'll research Messen computers for yourself with the help of the Borines in 1/3 of the normal time frame. They already know it. This was actually added with the patch. Before that, if they already have the technology, you just can't get it. For example, if every race has the technology and you don't, well, you're done. That's it. There's nothing else you can do, buddy. Sorry. Which is weird. And also, because, like, I mean, these guys like you, right? Why would they just not help you and give it to you? Even, okay, they are kind of like, they like you, but there's the Endors, I think, who adore me. Is it Endors who adore me? Yeah, I'm pretty sure they adore me. Let's see if Endors have any tag, so I can just demonstrate this. Endors have a tag that I don't have. Glue on computers, right? Endors have researched that. So we go to Endors, research technology, glue on computers. Yes, they already have it, but they're gonna make me spend 26 months to research it on my own with a little help from them. But at the same time, if I ask them to give this tech to someone else and use my influence to do that, let me see where I can find that. There's a special option for that. There we go. So if you go to the parliament and go general agenda, share tech with other race. You give them 800 credit, choose the race. Let's say, whatever, burlests, hostile race that no one really likes because they're dicks. And you give them, I can't give them glue on computers because they're not even at that level, but you can give them anything because they need to get to that stage. They don't have that yet. I mean, let's see if I can give it to someone else. Borine, they actually have it probably. I'm not, oh yeah, because they need optical computers yet. Anyway, that's the idea. You can give them, you just need to give other technology first. And for 800 credits, they're willing to give their technology to another race, but not with you, who they completely adore, but they're giving this to the race who they have 1.5 attitude towards them. They're neutral towards them, but for 800 credits, they just give it away. Which is really weird. That's a really weird mechanic in the game, and kind of immersion breaking at the same time, because why would that even be a thing? Another thing with the research is, for example, sometimes you research planetary improvements. And you will say, these guys now have the ion cannon technology, they can build it. Done. And then you kind of, I guess, I haven't really figured out how to build the ion cannon, but I guess you can, but it's not very obvious. There's no, ideally, in my opinion, you should have a link to, okay, and to build this, click here. To find out how to build this, go there. But it's just a message in itself without sort of hyperlinking to anything else. So it kind of leaves you thinking like, oh, okay, I guess. I mean, sure, ion cannon sounds good. So there's another thing about research that I think is somewhat, I already mentioned the Federation idea is somewhat random. Again, it kind of works, I guess I understand. Federation, peace, it's kind of been thrown around. It's just that it's kind of random that one Hydrol out of the millions decided to, be this benevolent guy. But, I guess you needed a premise for the narrative for this universe, so that's kind of okay as well. So I'm not trying to bash the game. I just want to underline that. It's pretty cool. I enjoyed my 8 hours here, and I will probably enjoy more hours here. It's just that it has, it's not 100% great. It has some problems. And again, I cannot confirm that it continues to be as enjoyable throughout because I only played 8 hours. But for whatever 8 hours I played, I can actually recommend this. I think it's a lot of fun. I'm happy that this exists. I'm happy that someone made the game, which is as nuanced as this one, has the morality system built in, which is not very sort of judgmental towards you at the same time, but only influences kind of your approach to politics of this solar system. And it's kind of cool. And if you are into even just actual grand strategy or grand strategy light, which I guess could be one of the definitions of this game, I definitely recommend that you check it out. It's £15 on Steam. I'm not sure you can buy anywhere else, but you can definitely get it on Steam. I think it was a 25% sale, but I think I'm kind of late with the video, so it's probably not on 25% sale anymore. So my apologies. But yeah, £15 or your equivalent in other currencies of our solar system. Hope you guys enjoyed this video and it was of some use to you. If it did so, please consider supporting it any way you can. I'll see you next time. Bye.